Welcome back. Welcome to the broadcast tonight. I wasn't organized enough to give you an intro. What do I have? I'm just we'll throw something on while a few more people come online. I'm going to throw on a link if you guys want to join the show tonight. We're going to be covering the Elders book. And who's been to the convention this year? Who's seen the convention? We were looking at the convention. What I see these conventions are about is they're a big rally. And if you can imagine pulling all these people worldwide together, all the money you make at these big conventions. Because, if they just want to show movies and stuff like that, they could just do it on their broadcast and people watch it. But they save it up. They're using their movie production studio. It's all scripted. It's like all these conventions have just big screen TVs all over the place. Now, I'm curious from you guys in the audience, is there speakers anymore? Like I'm looking at all these videos and it's all canned speakers. Now, is that the way it is worldwide? I'd be interested to know. But here's the common theme we found through the convention. I don't want to overdo this one, but this is it. This convention is all these conventions, and I never really realized this until I was doing a little research into Ticketmaster and all these guys that do events. And I started reading and how they do charity events. And the best way to do a charity event is to go in by donation, not by, some churches charge $40 a head to get into the event. And they have singing. Lots of churches do rock. Some do rock concerts. There's different venues. Now, Jehovah's Witness venue is a venue of everlasting life and fear. You see, if you use fear, you go to a lot of other churches and it's very joyful singing and it's concerts and people, and you pay $40, you go in there and you're entertained, you feel built up, spiritually built up, all this energy. It's energy, right? So now when you go to JW.org, you get a little bit different energy. Now they're saying that it's all loving and everything, and they try to show that, and it is to a degree, but not like other churches. Not like other churches. And I know because I've been to other events, that religious events. One time up north, I went to it was a revival. It was in this little town, and they had all these tents set up, and there was a lot of energy. I was born again, but I went. I was witnessing in that town. Why wouldn't I go? I went to that revival, spent the whole day there. That's where all the people in town were. It'd be a waste of time knocking at the door. So we just went and took in the revival. It was interesting. I think that was the year I quit. And I was with the Bethelites when we did that. Anyways, it was quite the experience. But when we look at the assemblies, it's all about money. How do I know that? Well, we made this little video, and that means nothing, but we had some comments. It drove some comments. One of the persons on the channel came in and said, I used to work and help out in the money department behind the scenes. And he says, you better believe it. This is all about rallying for money. He said some of the higher ups were telling him that these events is how they pull in all their money for the year, like a lot of their money. Excess money. You know how contributions go. You throw in $20 a month. But you go to an event like this and they advertise that, hey, we need help for humanitarian. It's not just to cover the cost of the convention anymore. You see, all 3 days they're pitching it for money. So because of that, we give them this.
Money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Take money, money, take money, money, money. Take money, money, take money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound. Fat pockets. I need a Skrilla on the Rilla. Fat pockets. I need that Skrilla on the Rilla. Money makes the world go round. Downtown, Remy gave me the sound. I need that Skrilla on the Rilla. I need that Skrilla on the Rilla. You got a $5 bill, put your hands up. You got a $10 bill, put your hands up. You got a $20 bill, put your hands up. You got a $50 bill, put your hands up. Holla, holla. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sign. I need that Skrilla on the Rilla. I need that Skrilla on the Rilla.
Okay, well, in that little video clip, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to show you what is costing JW.org so much money. So much money. We're going to show you the old 1991 Elders book. I got them all here. But first of all, I'm going to throw an invite up if anybody wants to come on and has something to say, especially if you're an elder or were an elder. You know, let's say you worked as an elder and you had to use the Elders book. And if you want to come on and read a few paragraphs, you're more than welcome. I'll take a break, but that'd be cool. So anyways, we're going to get after it. Share the screen. And I'm going to share the screen with you. That's what it says to do. See, there's all kinds of instructions here behind the panel for us guys that really don't know what's going on. Anyways, they make it pretty easy. StreamYard. And I used to put a link on here, but anyways, this is the Elders book that we're going through. This is the 2024 edition, April 2024, right there. Now, the Elders book that got him in so much trouble is this one. You remember this Elders book? Here's what it looked like. I'll just make that smaller. You guys remember this one? This Elders book? Pay attention to yourselves and to all the flock. This is the Elders book that got him into all the trouble. And it wasn't really fixed until 2015 when they frantically sent out letters. They didn't even wait for a new Elders book. They sent these letters out, addendums, after the Australian Commission in 2015. They went crazy. They changed it. They added a bit more to the CSA section, the child abuse section we're going to cover. But this is the 1991 Elders book, and this is what got him into so much trouble. And it's still getting him into trouble because a lot of the people back in that day, all the way up to 2015, and before this time, you know, going way back, if they had CSA issues, they were dealt with this particular Elders book. The ones that most of the prior editions were 1977, 1979, 1981. This is the 1981 version, this particular version. So we're going to look at it. I'll show you. We're going to look at child abuse. We're just going to search it. Child abuse. I don't know why it's dinging on me. Oh, I didn't like that, eh? Okay, let me try something else. Control find. No, doesn't even exist in this book. Child abuse. Let's see what they called it in the index. I don't know. Wrongdoing against individuals, two witnesses, underlying reason, varying degree of, witness to the same kind. There wasn't even a section for child abuse in this. So there's sex and sexual abuse, hatred, perverted practices, relations by separated couples, relations with divorced mate. You guys, it took us three video sessions, 2 hours each video, to cover just the last chapter. And it was mostly sexual abuse. The Elders book's a way bigger now. There's a way more stuff in it. I don't see anything for children. Children. What about just child? Let's see if there's anything that comes up. Nothing. Okay, what about sex? Let's put that in. SEX. No, it's not. Maybe the search engine's not working on that. Some of these books, they don't work because they're PDFs. Okay, child, here it is. Child abuse. Page 80, 93, and 126. So let's start with page 80. I'm going to write that down so I don't have to go back there. Page 80, 93, and 126. And can you guys see that on the screen? Probably it's quite difficult, maybe. I'm going to see if I can blow this up a bit. There, that's about as big as I can make it without. There, that's full screen. Okay, so we're going to go to page 80 and see what it says. Page 80. This is the old Elders book. It says, page 80, eh? I don't see anything. For child abuse. I don't see anything on this page. Okay, well, let's try page 93. 93, loose conduct. Maybe it's under there. Varying degrees of loose conduct. I don't see the word child abuse anywhere. When elders are approached, in some cases. Doesn't mention child abuse, but maybe they're calling it gross conduct. They call it, I don't know. Okay, well, page 126. Oh, 93, okay. It doesn't look like when I pull up the page, it's a PDF, so it's pulling. I think I did that wrong. So let's go back to 80. I'm looking now. It's I'm close to 80. I'm on 83, so I got to go back 82, 81, and 80. Okay, here we are. Let's give this a fair shot. Aiding to responsibilities. Okay, matters. I don't see anything about child abuse. Page 80. Oh, here it is. Articles in the Watchtower, or I'm going to blow this up for you. So here's the first part of this. Articles in the Watchtower or other publications. When special needs arise, the body of elders can review articles that are appropriate, such as those dealing with mercy, reproof, government restriction, child abuse, wife beating, mental illness, alcohol or drug abuse, apostasy, working together in the field service, and cooperating together as a congregation. So that's all they say is, there's Watchtower articles that deal with child abuse. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Next one's 93, so I'm going to go page 90, see if it goes in. Yeah, 93. So there's need for strong counsel. This is talking about loose conduct and stuff that we covered last week out of the old elder, or the new elders book. Touching of sex organs. They had it all in there. So, a human of either sex or beast. And includes oral and anal sex or mutual masturbation. See, that's changed now. You remember we covered last week where they're kind of leaving some of the bedroom stuff alone now, it appears. So they were stricter before, like on certain things. Now here it is. It also includes our sexual abuse of children, including practices involving catamite, a boy kept for the purpose of sexual perversion. They have that in there. Can you believe that, eh? Victims of sexual abuse need to be treated with extreme thoughtfulness and kindness. Elders always do what they thought. Elders should always do what they reasonably can to protect the children from further abuse. follow the society's directives on such matters. And they send you to the Awake magazine. And that's it. So no phoning the police, no nothing, just do what you think you should do. Elders should always do what they reasonably can. See, folks, this organization doesn't send anybody for counseling, anybody for professional help. These are janitors, a lot of these elders, and they do what they reasonably can. That's what the organization is telling them to do. That's what the governing body is telling these guys to do. So we always want to keep in mind this isn't the elders' fault. This is the governing body who's behind it. Now, here's the last reference to child abuse in the Old Elders book. And this is 126. So I don't see anything really. Okay, there may be mitigating circumstances a committee overlooks, such as a history of some type of abuse when a child. Okay, well, that's not really child abuse. So they're not dealing with CSA. This is just making reference to if an adult, or there's history when they're talking to someone of abuse when they were a child. It says emotional or mental disorder or other. It says, while these do not justify wrongdoing, understanding the underlying reason or cause of emotional or mental problems can help the committee to really reach a balanced and compassionate judgment. That's it. So that's it. Those are the three occasions where we've seen in this Old Elders book, the old 1991 one. This is why they're getting sued, this Old Elders book, because it didn't deal with child abuse at all. The elders could do what they want. So now we're in this book, this new book. We're punched forward since 2015. What is that? 2024. We're almost 10 years since the Australian Commission, it seems like. They're just announcing they're going to release this new what do they, hey hon, what do they call that in New Zealand? They're releasing the Australian Commission
on the abuse and care.
Right. We're going to cover that on our next news. But there's the abuse in care report. They're about to release it to all the victims out there in Australia, New Zealand. So guess what happened? Watchtower sued the commission, and they said, we want it first. We want to see that first before it's released. They filed an urgent something in court. An urgent hearing. Watchtower filed that. We want to see that first before you guys release it. And you know what the judge said? Take a hike. They're not going to let Watchtower see it. So it's interesting. Why does Watchtower want to see it? It'll be interesting. Okay, before we get going, we want to say hello to my good wife. Hello there, good wife. And we have Silent Storm and David. Hello, David. David was on our Bible discussions yesterday, and we had a really good Bible discussion. You know, we're starting to cover. I think that's what we have to do at the mouth of 2 or 3 or 4 witnesses. You know, you guys come on stage, and we look at some of this stuff that the Watchtower is pitching out to everyone. Like we looked at some of the assembly stuff, and they talked about the Magi being evil. The star is from Satan. Now, I did a little bit of more research on that, and that star, all over the Bible, the Star of David, the star, it's referred to in a very angelic way. And Now, what's interesting, I don't know if you had a chance, we did a video on the Magi, and I pinned it. And in there, the Book of Magi was hidden in the Vatican, and of course, some scholars went in and brought it to life in English. It's interesting. This star is actually Jesus. That's what the Book of Magi says. That star is Jesus. The baby is Jesus. And lots of things are Jesus all at once. They call it Jesus incarnate or something. It's interesting. Okay, this show's not about that, but D. Fiscal was on there explaining Greek to us. Interlinear. Very interesting. John 1 and 1. So the channel's really taken a new level of people coming in and getting involved, and we encourage that. In fact, if you want to have your own videos or your own little section on Discord, just let us know. And you can even make your own videos. If you don't want to have a channel, but you want to make a video and you want to launch it, we'll launch it for you on our channel. We're doing that already every Saturday. And it's a way for you guys to get your ears wet and doing some of this stuff. You might like it. It's not for everyone, but it's for some of us, I guess. And it's about using your talents, where you want to use your talents, use your voice. Hello, Wild Wool. Okay, so Silent Storm. We said hi to a few people. Lewis, Ruby's on with us. Hello, Ruby. Ruby's the checker championship on Discord.
Jay's the checker champion.
Jade? No, that Jay's chess champion.
Jay beat
Really?
quite convincing at checkers.
Oh, okay. Well, I was really hoping.
Just tell Ruby we're sorry about your loss.
Ruby, I was cheering for you. Okay, well, Jay's he's pretty good at all that stuff, so we could learn a lot from Jay. Steen, hello, Steen. They book, yeah, they do. Every time they get a lawsuit, they edit the book. Jennifer, they know it won't be good. They won't. Dinah, hello, Dinah. So yeah, Dinah has a channel on Discord now, and you see all her poems. So we've been really enjoying Dinah's poems on Wednesdays on Joe and Fran's show, if you get a chance. And then you can come on Discord. We'll put the link in all our videos. It's only a 7-day link, but you can check our videos, get a link. Okay, Tier 5. Hello, Tier 5. And we're going to get into it. The Elder's Book. The Elder's Book. The Elder's Book. No one's cheering? No one? The Elder's Book. The Elders, okay, clap everyone. The Elder's Book. I thought so. We're not going to get any claps out of anybody for this book. Okay, let's get into it. This book is not a loving book at all. The word love is used. Did they even use it? Love? Did they call it the Loving Shepherd? No, they don't even call it the Loving Shepherding book. The word love is only in there 5 times. And it's made in this Elder's Book is made in the Republic of Korea. That's where they're doing it. Apparently, they're saying maybe because the Koreans can't read it, they do the English ones there. Maybe they do the Korean ones in the US. I don't know. Maybe that's how they're doing it. That's what one person said in the comments, and I thought that was a good supposition. Okay, child abuse. There's a whole section on it. Section 14. We click on it. We're into it. Now they have 30 pages. There's 30 pages of stuff we got to read tonight. So if anybody wants to come on, you're welcome. You can do some reading too. I don't know how that works. I have a double screen here, so I don't mind reading. But if you have anything to say, you want to come on, this is the section that they're getting sued. This is what's costing them millions. Now, not chapter 14 in the new book, but the 3 little pieces that they brought out in their old book didn't cut it for crime, for criminal activity happening in the congregation. So I don't think they viewed it as criminal activity. Now they do. It's a crime now. Back then, it was just a sin. It wasn't a crime, it was a sin. So, okay, so legal considerations. Let's get right into this. Elders should adhere closely to the directions. Doing so will uphold the sanctity of Jehovah's name. It's all about Jehovah's name. Number two, while the information in this chapter refers to an accused in the masculine gender and to the victim in the feminine gender, it applies equally regardless of gender and accused. Okay, that's good to have that in there because they always say he all the way through the book. Number three, child abuse may include neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or emotional abuse of a minor. And child sexual abuse occurs when an adult uses when an adult uses his or her own sexual desires, the child, to satisfy his or her own sexual desires. And it could include sexual intercourse, oral or anal, fondling of genitalia, breasts, or buttocks. YouTube's going to restrict me on all this. No monetization on this. The good wife said she already turned it off. Okay. Or other perverted acts such as voyeurism. I don't know what that is of a minor. Watching. Oh, okay. That's what that means. Voyeurism. Watching. Indecent exposure to a minor or soliciting a minor for sexual conduct. And depending on the circumstances of the case, it may include an adult showing pornography to a minor or sexting with the minor. Sexting involves the sending of sexual explicit messages or images electronically. And while most victims are girls, many boys are abused as well, although most abusers are men. Some women also abuse children. So this looks like it's cut and pasted out of some family health, psychologists, some information that's out there for this. When we looked at the old elders book, what it said, it didn't say anything. And now all of a sudden we have all of this information. Wow. They're really covering it. They're dotting all their I's, crossing all their T's. Okay. From the Bible standpoint of view, child sex abuse is a gross sin. Jehovah's Witnesses abhor child sex abuse. Thus, the congregation will not shield any perpetrator of such repugnant acts from the consequences of his sin. And the congregation's handling of an accusation of child sex abuse is not intended to replace the secular authorities' handling of the matter. So that's an interesting point. It's not designed to replace the secular authorities' handling. So they're put that right in their elders book. They don't want to be caught again with their pants down on this one. Okay, so that says, therefore, the victim, her parent, or anyone else who reports such an allegation to the elders should be clearly informed that they have the right to report the matter to secular authorities. So that's what you would say as an elder. You'd say, I want to be clear about this. Now, they're not going to recommend or say go either way, but they're going to say, you have the right to report this to the police. And the person's going to say, well, what's that going to do? Well, it's a crime. See, they have to say the right things, these elders, right? So, therefore, the victim, her parent, or anyone else who reports such an allegation to the elders should be clearly informed that they have a right to report the matter to the secular authorities. And elders do not criticize anyone who chooses to make such a report. So they're being explicit here. You do not criticize people. They're covering all their bases here this time around. Number 5, the scriptures place the responsibility on parents for teaching and protecting their children, and that's right. It's not the elder's job, so therefore, it's not the organization's job, is it? Or is it? You see, they start throwing out all this stuff on JW.org about children, how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. And that's where the parents go. They go to JW.org. And even though they say that they put this back on the parents have to go to JW.org to get their training. Are they going to go to they're not saying anywhere in their elders book to take people to family counseling and have professionals deal with this. There's nowhere in this book. We'll read it together, but I combed it already. Okay. So as spiritual shepherds, elders can help parents shoulder their scriptural responsibility. Our publications and website contain much helpful information. That's what they're doing. And no one's trained, folks. No one's trained in dealing with this CSA and child abuse. No one. So this elders book is not training. It's rules. It's rules so that they don't get sued when it happens, when you have pedophiles in the congregation. That's what this is about. Legal considerations. Here it is, folks. Number 6, child abuse is a crime. In some jurisdictions, individuals who learn of the allegation of child abuse may be obligated by law to report the allegation to secular authorities. So this tells me that this is their escape card. If they're in a jurisdiction that reporting isn't mandatory, I think, what is it? Is there 13 states that it's not mandatory in? So it's not everywhere. So in them states, they're not going to report it. Now, I guess they're going to say to the parents, maybe you can report this, but I don't think they're going to push it. Anyways, that's just my supposition. I'm reading this. Individuals who learn of the allegation may be obligated. See, they're saying maybe. See, they're not telling their elders, we really don't care. It's a crime. If it's a crime in Canada, why isn't it a crime in Montana, right? Or California or wherever? This tells me that they're kind of going with the law, if you don't have to report it. Anyways, number 7. And we know that's what I'm saying is true because they're suing over this fact. They're suing to maintain clergy penitent privilege, the same as the Catholic Church, so they can cover up the child abuse. That's what it's all about. These religions are going down over CSA, over child abuse. Number 7. To ensure that elders comply with child abuse reporting laws, 2 elders should immediately call the legal department for legal advice, of course. And when the elders learn of an accusation of child abuse, a call should be made, even when both persons involved are minors. And the elders should not ask an alleged victim, the accused person, or anyone else to call the legal department on the elder's behalf. The elders should call the legal department, even in the following situation. So here it is. Number 1, if the alleged abuse occurred many years ago. Number 2, if the alleged abuse is based on the testimony of only one witness. Number 3, the alleged abuse is believed to be a repressed memory. Number 4, the alleged abuse involves perpetrators or victims who are deceased. This could be a big one. The alleged abuse involves perpetrators or victims who are deceased. So maybe some of these people died, but then a person feels like they want to talk about it. So they're saying that they call the legal department in all these cases. Sounds like this is canned out of someone else did this up for Watchtower, based on what I've seen from their previous elders book. Now, the alleged abuse is believed to have already been reported. They still call this is all the reasons to call the legal department. The alleged perpetrator or victim is not in your congregation. The alleged perpetrator is not witness associated with the congregation. The alleged abuse occurred before the alleged perpetrator or victim was baptized. The alleged victim is now an adult. The alleged abuse occurred in the past and is unclear whether your congregation elders ever called the legal department for direction. Okay. Very straightforward. Number 8. The legal department will provide legal advice based on the facts in the applicable law, the legal department. So they'll look the law up in that state, and then they'll provide the facts based on that, what they have to do. If the individual who is accused of child abuse is associated with your congregation, the 2 elders calling should provide the legal department with the individual's full name, date of birth, and if applicable, date of baptism. And after speaking with the legal department, the call will transfer to the service department. If there's potential for media interest in the situation, the call will then be transferred to public information department. I guess that's a big thing now, is all this stuff getting out into the public. So they have a PDI, public PID department. Number 9, prison inmates. 2 elders should immediately call the legal department regarding any prison inmates, baptized or unbaptized, who has been accused of child abuse and who is now associated with the congregation. This would include his attending the meetings held in the prison, and in some cases, elders may not be permitted to inquire about the offense that an inmate may have committed. However, if the elder learns that the alleged offense has to do with child abuse, they should immediately call the legal department. So if you're in prison and you're having witnesses come in and study with you, they might be a bit nosy and want to know why you're in there. Eventually they figure it out. And if it's CSA, they're going to call the legal, even though you're in prison and you're just studying, they're going to call the legal department. That's what it looks like to me here. Probably a good thing that they have all this in there. So they get it, because they have to deal with their problem. I don't know if they can get through all the lawsuits that are coming upon them because of their old elders book. It'll be interesting to see. Number 10, child pornography and sexting. If the elder becomes aware of an adult associated with a congregation who has been involved with child pornography, 2 elders should immediately call the legal department. Likewise, if the elder becomes aware of the adult or minor associated with the congregation who is sexting with the minor, the legal department should be called immediately. The legal department does not need to be informed when elders receive reports of adults sexting. So adults are allowed to sext. No one's going to tell on you or call the legal department. Congregation considerations. 11. When discussing CSA, we'll call it child sex abuse from the congregation standpoint. We're not considering a situation in which a minor who is willing participant and who is approaching adulthood is involved in this sexual activity with an adult who's a few years older than a minor. Nor, generally speaking, are we discussing situations in which only minors are involved. Rather, we are referring to an adult guilty of sexual abusing a minor who is a young child, or an adult guilty of sexual involvement with a minor who is approaching adulthood but was not a willing participant. Although viewing child pornography is not considered to be child sexual abuse from a congregation standpoint, it is still a serious violation of Jehovah's standards. A person involved in viewing child pornography should be strongly counseled. Well, I think the police will even they watch the websites, the stuff for child pornography. So you hear of reports where they storm a house and raid his house and find out all this child pornography is on his computer. The police can monitor that, so that's serious stuff. So they're just calling it strong counsel. If a person has child pornography, it's not supposed to exist. I know it's out there, but it's not supposed to exist. So it's very serious. Now, depending on the frequency and the extent of his viewing, he could subject to congregation. He could be subject to congregation judicial action, so he'll get dealt with, the elders. Okay, so we covered sexting, child. Yeah, they're really covering this. They're really covering this thoroughly, which is good. They have to. Anybody that's going to deal with children, all these field service arrangements and children going out in service. Now, I can see them making a rule that children underage can't go out in service with anybody else but their parents. I could see that rule happening. Some new rules are going to come in. Still, this still isn't done, folks. These changes that they have to make. And they have until February. They're going back to court in Norway in February. 9 days they scheduled. So they're planning on doing something in Norway, 9 days of court. So maybe they're going to make enough changes to check the box, and they're going to fight to get their status back, religious status back. It'd be interesting to see. They're making changes, pulling watchtowers, delaying watchtowers. They're scrambling at headquarters, man. Yeah, they're scrambling. Okay. Providing spiritual assistance to victims. This will be interesting. Elders should demonstrate empathy, compassion, and ongoing spiritual shepherding is especially important for victims of CSA and their families. They should have ongoing trained victims, people that specialize in helping victims. That's what they need. I don't think the elders have enough training to do this. Well, I know they don't. They don't know. Number 13, 2 elders should always be involved when shepherding. Yes, that's standard. An elder should never become a sole confidant of a sister. And that's happened over the years, folks. Lots of elders have been confidants of sisters, and they end up having affairs. Number 14, when shepherding a child abuse victim who is still a minor, 2 elders and minor parents should be involved. And of course, if one parent is accused, the accused parent would not be involved. If neither parent can be present, the other adult publisher in the congregation who is confident the victim should be included. As spiritual shepherds, number 15, elders should be good listeners. While some victims may prefer not to talk about it, others have found it helpful. So it doesn't sound like they're pressing. So these guys are just going to they're training the elders to be listeners. Maybe they got some training out of some psychology book. Now they're going to try to train the elders to be psychologists, victim psychologists now. So while some victims may prefer not to talk, others find it helpful to talk. Though it may be necessary for the elders to ask a few questions to help draw them out, they should avoid probing or repeatedly into the details of the abuse. And however, discussing Bible examples of others who endured a difficult childhood and yet succeeded in becoming faithful servants of Jehovah may provide needed comfort. So it looks like they got a bunch of Watchtower magazines are referencing the elders to look at and use that for their shepherding. We talked a bit about what elders have to do as far as voluntary work, and it's over and above what a volunteer is supposed to do. That'll be another show another time, but volunteers, they're not allowed, these organizations that have volunteers like elders, they're not allowed to make them work extra hours, like steal their time from their families without paying them. And the average rate is $28 an hour for a volunteer. I'll have to pull that up in an article and read that, but it's interesting. They're looking at these charities and how they're using volunteers. And there's rules being made about how volunteers can be abused. You see, in the Watchtower, everyone is a slave. A slave. They don't own themselves. They're a slave. And they try to make it look like they're slaves to Christ, but they're actually slaves to Watchtower, or slaves to Jehovah. Faithful slave, slave to Jehovah. But they're really slaves to the Watchtower. That's what it's all about. Okay. 16, the time that elders can spend shepherding an individual in the congregation who is a victim is limited. So they're going to limit the elders' time, and then the child abuse victims on their own. That's basically it, folks. Child victims on their own. There's nothing here to send them for help. In some cases, a victim of child abuse may seek more spiritual support from elders than they can reasonably give. Elders have found it beneficial to set limits on time for such shepherding. It may take several visits to assist a victim effectively. Well, it may take several years, not visits. These victims of child abuse are going to therapy for years, a lifetime in some cases. When circumstances limit the extent of the assistance the elders can provide on a particular occasion, elders should still seek to share words of encouragement. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Hope nice to see you at the meeting. Or, are you going to make it to the meeting tonight? We miss you. We haven't seen you for a bit. Is that what they do? Assuring a victim of Jehovah's love, reading an appropriate scripture, offering a prayer. This will confirm the elder's interest and willingness to help the extent possible. Well, if you're a victim of child abuse out there, assuring the victim of Jehovah's love, I'm not sure what that does for you. It's just words, right? Jehovah's invisible. It's his organization that it happened under. You might have at this point in time, you might not like Jehovah's organization a whole lot. That's not going to do it for me. Reading an appropriate scripture. I had elders read me scriptures, and when you're distressed, that's the last thing you want to hear is Bible stuff. And offering a prayer. These guys go on and they try to counsel in the prayers. It's just, I don't know. None of this stuff helps. This will confirm the elder's interest, willingness to help to the extent possible. You want to know what helps victims? Playing some games, some fictional stories, getting their minds off the event, not on the event. Maybe, hey, we're going to play baseball at the community ball diamond, the congregation after on Sunday. You want to come and have some fun with us, or maybe you're going to go bowling or play soccer. It doesn't have to be sports all the time. It can be anything recreational. Forget about all the Bible stuff. That's not what they need. Maybe it was an elder studying the Bible with the victim, or a ministerial servant, or something like that. It's so many examples. But JW.org, they don't have a clue on how to deal with these victims. A couple of visits, several visits. It's several years. And there's a responsibility if those victims were molested while they were out in the ministry with some other elder or something. There's a responsibility for life this organization has. Anyways, this will confirm elders' interest, willingness to help to the extent possible. That wrecks a person's life. So there's a responsibility, huge. If you're in Bible times, it's death. The perpetrator would be stoned in Bible times. So it's serious. This is a serious sin. It's a serious crime. Number 17. An additional spiritual shepherding provided by elders, a victim or her family so they are putting that in there. They may desire other assistance. Let's see what that is. For example, an adult sister who suffered abuse as a child may choose to approach an empathetic sister. Oh, just another person in the congregation. Oh, and here I thought they were going to send them out to some counseling and some real professional help, desire other assistance. So the other assistance might be some other sister in the congregation. Or if the adult sister is agreeable, an elder or two may discreetly ask a mature sister if she is in a position to help a suffering sister in that way. So you go get some older sisters. They don't have a clue. They've never done psychology with child abuse victims. They don't have a clue. But just because she's older and she has lots of time on her hands, they're going to go and dump this all on her. It's not fair to any of you guys that are in the congregation and you're getting this dumped on you. This takes professional help. Okay, the next part here, it says whether a victim or her family seeks qualified professional help is a personal decision. So they're really saying, well, it's a personal decision. We don't want to get into that. If you want to go and get qualified professional help, it's a personal decision. Why aren't they recommending it? Watchtower doesn't recommend it. It's a personal decision if you want to do it. So if an elder is asked for advice on this matter, he may direct attention to appropriate Bible principles material in our publications. Do you know why they don't want to recommend professional counseling? Because the professional counselors are going to say, quit that damn religion. That's the first thing you got to do. Quit that high control cult. You're in a high control cult. Get the hell out of that. Now, they don't talk like I talk, but that's what eventually is going to happen. That's why the elders don't want anybody seeing professional counselors. 18. Investigating allegations. The elders may learn of an allegation of CSA directly from the victim through her parents or through a trusted confidant of the victim. After receiving assistance from the branch office, and if accused is a publisher, the body of elders will appoint 2 elders. These elders should carefully follow the scriptural procedure in chapter 12. And it goes on and on to talk about the judicial committee. A victim of child abuse is never required to make her allegation in the presence of the alleged abuser. They already said that. They're saying everything 2 or 3 times over, folks. However, victims who are now adults may do so if they wish. Yeah, and they said all this stuff already. And they want them contacting the service department, usually the legal department. I don't know why they want them here. In the exceptional event that 2 elders believe it is necessary to speak with a minor who is a victim of child abuse, the elders should first contact service department. So they're not even allowed to speak with the victim anymore without contacting the legal department or service department. Okay, judicial committee. If the body of elders concludes that there is sufficient scriptural evidence to warrant the formation of a judicial committee on the grounds of CSA, the coordinator of the elders should first contact the circuit overseer. Wow, a lot of involvement. So the circuit overseer will designate an experienced elder to serve as chairman of the judicial committee. You see, I think Jehovah's Witnesses are going to have to start protesting this book because there's too much in here for an average man to look after. You got these men that are elders. They're not getting paid. It's voluntary work. It's like you're volunteering to go to some bingo and pass out bingo cards, for the evening. It's a charity event, and then you go home and you're done. It's not like that as an elder. They get calls in the middle of the night and they have to deal with it. That's what their elders book says. And you got all this manpower involved, circuit overseers, you got 2 elders, you got all these people involved within this organization. Do you know why they do that? Because it's free. They're not paying $28 an hour every time a circuit overseer. Well, a circuit overseer is $50 an hour. He's the most qualified. It was like a doctor, right? Elders only get $28 an hour. But they're really abusing the elders, really abusing them here. If you're an elder, this is abuse of elders. Thereafter, the body of elders will select another member of the committee. If an appeal committee is needed, the circuit overseer will select experienced elders. You'll just turn it all over to the police, let the police figure out if the guy's guilty, and then they lock him up. If the police find he's guilty, you disfellowship him if you warn the congregation for sure. Let them know, however they want to discipline the guy. They're saying if the wrongdoing is established, and the wrongdoer is not repentant, he should be disfellowshipped. So if he's repentant, it sounds like he doesn't get DF'd. On the other hand, if the wrongdoer is repentant and is reproved, and the reproof should be announced to the congregation at the next midweek meeting. So that's really what the reproof is getting that announcement out. And it's not helping the individual. The individual, again, needs counseling. The pedophile needs to go and get professional counseling. It's not in here. This announcement, it's just elders announcing stuff. The announcement serves as a protection for their congregation. Yes, it does in this case. And victims of child sex abuse are not handled judicially. If the body of elders believes the congregation action may be warranted in the case of a minor who is a willing participant in the wrongdoing, 2 elders should call the service department. So, yeah, they can't deal with the victims anymore judicially. That's new. You see, they used to disfellowship the victims in some cases because if there wasn't two witnesses, the victim says, well, how could there be two witnesses? And the elder says, well, there's not two witnesses and I didn't do it. And the victim says, well, yes, you did. Well, do you have two witnesses? No. And then it gets thrown out. That's the old elders book. So then a lot of times the victims leave, they get disfellowshipped, they get depressed, they're not helped. The organization still isn't helping the victims, but it's changed things now. The victims of CSA are not handled judicially. That's brand new. They can't do that no more. So if the body of elders believes the congregation action may be warranted in the case of a minor who is a willing, so if the victim was a willing participant, they may not handle it because it's the victim's underage. Victims underage, they'll call the service department. Okay, reinstatement committee. If a person who has been disfellowshipped for CSA abuse applies for reinstatement, the coordinator of the body of elders should contact his circuit overseer and provide the names of those who served on the original committee. And the circuit overseer will designate an experienced elder to serve as a chairman of the reinstatement committee. And therefore, the body of elders will select the other members of the committee. And if the decision is to reinstate, two elders serving on the committee should immediately call the service department. And this call must be made before the person is informed of the decision and before the reinstatement is announced. Wow, the service departments must be busy all over the world. Calls just steady rolling in from all these congregations now. If a person who has been disfellowshipped for CSA has moved and applies for reinstatement in a different congregation, the coordinator of the body of elders of the new congregation should contact his circuit overseer. See, they got to keep track of these pedophiles now. The circuit overseer of the new congregation will designate an experienced elder to serve as a chairman of the reinstatement committee in the new congregation. Yeah, it's just all their formalities. Okay, let's move this forward. They contact the CO, the names of those who served on the original committee. They want them there. That circuit overseer will designate an experienced elder to serve as a chairman. Well, they just crossing, they get a lot of people involved. Again, it's a charity organization. And this is like law. This is legalities. This is like the legal stuff, folks. That's why I think if you're an elder, you got to start complaining about being a lawyer, used as a judge. This is not normal. This is not in the Bible. The Bible does not say elders have to do this. This is work that you're doing to save the ass of JW.org. They're getting their asses sued off in court. They made this new elders book, and they're using you elders as slaves and legal professionals to follow all this crap. This is crazy. This is just nuts. Anyways, restrictions. The elders should carefully adhere to all the direction provided by the service department because they're God. These guys, that's God. Phone God. Hey guys, there's another CSA in the congregation. Phone God. That's the service department. For example, the God department will provide direction when number one is determined that a publisher, baptized or unbaptized, who is guilty of CSA is repentant. They're God. They can read the hearts and they know how to do it all. Number two, one disfellowship for sex abuse is reinstated. Number three, a publisher baptized who denies an accusation is convicted by secular authorities, or one viewed as a child molested by the community or congregation becomes a publisher and gets baptized. They should almost say that they can't be a publisher. I don't know. You just lose that because now you got to have elders work with them in service. In such cases, direction from the service department to the elders will include restrictions imposed on the individual's activities within the congregation and on his participation in the field ministry The elders will be directed to caution the individual never to be alone. So they'll just caution him, don't be alone with a minor. Not to cultivate friendships with minors, not to display affection for minors, and so forth. And the service department will direct the elders to inform family heads of minors within the congregation of the needs to monitor their children's interaction with this guy, with this individual. And the elders would take this step only if directed to do so by God, service department. I think it should be done anyways. It should just be standard. The coordinator of the body of elders should ensure that the newly appointed elders and elders who move into the congregation are made aware of this individual. You see, they're cautioning him to not work with children, but yet he's going out in service. Who's answering the door Saturday morning? The parents are sleeping in. They had to work all week. The children are watching cartoons, so it's the children that come to the door. Pedophiles at the door, and your kids are out. You're out there, yeah, pedophiles calling at your door. There's nothing that says he has to have an elder with him in service. I thought they did. They just inform the congregation heads not that their children should not be involved with this guy. But yet he goes out in the door-to-door work and children answer the door. And then you're walking along the sidewalk. Guess what? It's the children that are playing on the sidewalk, riding their bikes, skateboarding, or whatever, what children do. And then you're walking along, there's a playground. Guess what? It's full of children. It's like taking an alcoholic and saying, okay, we want you to quit being an alcoholic, but we want you to work in the liquor store. Guess what? When no one's looking, the alcoholics goes to the bathroom, grabs a Mickey of vodka, just went missing. Someone must have stole it, when they do inventory. Well, I don't know. There's some shady people came in here last night and should check the video cameras. Anyways, yeah, it's not good how they do that. They're allowing these guys to go. They're sending them out in service. Okay, well, let's see what it says. The elders would take this step only if directed by the service department, to call the family heads, only if directed by the service department. Why not? Call them anyways. Okay, one who is engaged in CSA does not qualify to receive any privileges. Oh, they can get privileges? It just says for many years. What's many years? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, many years. Oh yeah, it's been years since that happened. I can't remember how long it was. It 2018 that happened. Yeah, 2024. That's years ago. We could have him as an elder now. That's not that long, folks. A few years. It's not long. But they're saying if ever. So maybe they do mean many years if ever. But why not just say no? This includes minor privileges as well. So Paul's counsel to Timothy is special relevance in the case of baptized adults who have molested children. Never lay your hands hastily on any man, neither become a sharer of sins of others. That's a little weak. But anyways, if the body of elders believes that one who is engaged in CSA decades ago may now qualify. Oh, decades ago. Okay, so if it's decades ago, you may now qualify for minor privileges, such as working the sound system, working the stage, microphones, stuff like that. Serving as an attendant. Oh, you could assist with accounts, literature counter. You could work the territory desk. They should assign 2 elders to call the service department, though. And the assigned elder should call the service department before any congregation privileges are extended, in reference to a CSA molester, pedophile. Okay, so filing, I don't know, they just say, see this. And if they move to another congregation. So let's see how much we got left here. How many points do we have in here? 26. We go Oh, we're just about done. 26. We're just about done. Moving to another congregation. Okay, well, I'm going to take a little bit of break, and I should look at some of the comments here. Yeah, we should get Gilbert on. He could do a little bit of reading while I have a break. He would. He probably remembers the old elders book. This new elders book is. You got to be a lawyer to decipher it. Kiss. Why are there so many paragraphs? Keep it simple, stupid. Call the police. No kidding. Why not just call the police, right? Like, make this there. Like, when I look at this as an elder, and maybe Gilbert, you can come on later and comment. We just have a few paragraphs to read, but I appreciate hearing from any elders. I think I threw an invite out, and I'll read up the rest. I'm just going to take a break here, and then we'll read up the rest of this. And yeah, if anybody wants to come on and talk about it. The thing that gets me is when you're volunteering, maybe you prepare a talk, you're going to be an elder. It's fun, you give a talk, maybe you give a public talk and stuff like that. But all this stuff in this elders book for CSA, there's a lot of legal stuff there, lots of legal stuff. And then there's lots of psychology stuff. Like, how do you know as an elder? Some of these elders are young. They're in their 20s, mid-20s. Some of these elders I've seen, even early 20s, but mostly mid-20s, late 20s. They try to get these guys being elders. And they don't have any skill set with being a family head, raising children. No experience. A lot of them have never been married. They don't know what it's like to have a wife and to share and to do things like that. They're used to, just from birth, they're used to just, it's about me, Well, if you're being an elder, it's not about you, because there's a lot of free time that these guys are used for. They're slaves. Elders are slaves. I feel sorry for the elders. Anyways, I'll see you in a bit here. I'm just going to we'll take this off, and we'll have a little break here.
Wayman Ivory?
Yeah, and who are you?
You're a convicted violent child rapist, and you're out here in the neighborhood?
No, wait, no.
1992 or a 9-year-old girl?
No, you got it all wrong.
How you doing,
You got it all
Gilbert?
wrong.
Did you get convicted? Are you on the pedophile registry list?
No, not.
Violent offender?
No, you got it all wrong, mister.
Do I need to call 911? Are you supposed to be around children up and down the street here?
What
Sir?
you need to do is go.
No, I think you need to go. You should not be proselytizing when you're a pedophile or rapist. Child rapist.
Wow, that was from way back in the day. That was back, I think, 2016, and that was big. That was huge, and they got taken down from YouTube for whatever reason. But if you type in the Wayman Ivory, it'll pop up in Google on the news station, and confirms what Vern was saying was true. They're going door to door, and then if they're not going door to door, they're married to a woman who studies the Bible with children. That was one of the problems we had in Yuma. The guy's a pedophile. He goes, yeah, but he's not a publisher. But his wife is conducting Bible studies with a bunch of kids.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it's right there. You have to and this is, if you saw the video, the guy's closing his ears. He doesn't want to hear it. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't hear it. See no evil, hear no evil. We don't have a child molestation problem because I'm closing ears. I don't want to hear babies cry. I don't want to hear teenage commit suicide.
Now, Linda was saying, I didn't hear about how elders can find an alleged perpetrator scripturally guilty. Is it because we just covered it and you didn't see that, or you weren't sure of the information we covered, Linda? You just got in? Because we did cover that in the book. There's a whole section now. Now there's a whole section on how to find out if they're guilty. But it should go to the police. It should be professionals. That's what we're saying. Elders aren't designed. I can't see elders being able to handle it. I wouldn't. I'd quit. I'd quit as an elder. I couldn't do that stuff.
Now, I know Ruby's joking when she says, Gigi, he has repented. Yeah, I know that's joking. But in any industry, if you're a child sex offender, they're going to check your background, and you can and cannot get a job in certain places. So like if you work in a shipping dock, well, maybe you can, and you were child sex CSA abuser, maybe. But Jehovah's Witnesses don't listen. This is how it works. I can lose 50 pounds, and then I don't look like a different person, right? And then I can say my name is Julio Iglesias, and I go to another congregation, study with the presiding overseer. I know who the presiding overseer is. I study the Bible with him.
Yeah, like I never thought of that. What if you changed your name? What if you changed your name?
ID. Vern, when have you ever been asked for identification at a Kingdom Hall?
Never. So it's a bed for pedophiles.
It's a hotbed, and all you have to do is just change your name and go to another city. That's why when you go to your Kingdom Hall, go back to your Kingdom Hall. 10% of the people there may know who you are. 90% of the people will love bomb you. That's how transient religion is. It's a pedophile paradise.
If they canceled I was reading an article, the JWs have a bigger problem than the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, 4% of the priests were pedophilia or whatever, pedophiles. 4%. The problem they're saying with the JWs is now it's not just the elders or the priests, it's everyone, because of this whole ministry thing going door to door. People's kids are subjected to everyone. If you're an exemplary publisher, it just means that you put in 8 hours a month in the old days. Now you just have to check the box maybe and show up at a few service arrangements. And you're an exemplary publisher. Hey, Vern, can you take so and so's kids out because they're working this weekend and the kids want to go out in service? Oh yeah, just come on, I'll go pick them up. They still do that, right?
Correct. And you got to understand, birds of a feather flock together. It's very important. You have to understand. I know a lot of you don't understand this, and good, because you have a clean mind. You guys are good people.
Mhm.
But you have to think like a crook. You have to think like an evil person. An evil person would be somebody like me. And let's just say I'm a child sex abuser. And then I live in Arizona. And then I say, you know what? I have a friend of mine who lives in Canada. He's also a child sex abuser. I'm going to go over there and change my name. And I'm going to be in his congregation. And everyone's going to call me, and I come up, like I said before, Julio Iglesias, And then when that finishes, I'll go to Mexico and I'll say my name is Pedro Infante, And I'm just inventing names and inventing person. But I know who is also a child sex offender, and I'll go to their congregation. I'll get cover. And this is how they work. They don't work alone. And this is why I believe Jehovah's Witnesses are so transient, because they have to leave town. One of the guys, when I was growing up, was a Gilead graduate. He would go from Phoenix to Yuma, and he worked for the state of Arizona. And then he got caught because about a 17-year-old boy, told his mom whatever. But what did he do? He was a Gilead graduate. He hightailed it back to Bolivia. He went back to Bolivia, sold everything, and he made an excuse. My dad already died. I came here back for my dad, and yada, yada, yada. So we're going to go back. No. So that's what I'm saying about being transient.
Yeah.
These pedophiles, you just go from one place to another place to another place, another congregation. And a lot of times I'm going to put my money down with no proof, but I'm going to put my money down. They go and they change their name. The difference between the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Catholics, I'm sure, have everybody's ID. They probably pulled a credit report, background check, in order for them to be a member, a paid member of their church. Other churches do that. Why don't you? And Watchtower does that if you become like a circuit overseer or Bethelite. They'll do background checks. They'll check your credit and stuff like that. But they won't do that with elders.
I think they have to just stop the door-to-door work.
Yeah.
The door-to-door work opens up too many legal issues. What do you think, Ruby? You're online.
Hey guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, I think this is a super important topic that we need to continue, bringing awareness to. And unfortunately, when I found out about this, I felt like, oh, well, that would never happen to me. That probably happens to other people. But, who knows? Maybe Jehovah will handle it, leave it in Jehovah's hands. But that was that was like the one thing that woke me up, because I wasn't going to bring my children to a Kingdom Hall after I found out that it was a major issue. But we just keep it to ourselves, don't say anything, make believe that's other people's problems and not our own. And then one day it happened in my family, and it's shocking, because I'm like, I knew about it, but I never could think that it could happen in your own family, or, especially because we're Jehovah's Witnesses, right? So if anybody has been following me since the beginning of my channel, the very first video that I posted 5-6 months ago was the reason why I started my channel and I created my platform, and I want to share CSA issues as much as I do. Because if you have seen my first video, it was exposing my Jehovah's Witness uncle who got arrested for trying to meet with a minor. And it is so shocking to me that he got swatted in. Like, they grabbed him and they arrested him. So they were on him. You see what I'm saying? It's only until they get caught that it becomes a problem. This could have been a problem for him many years ago. But what do? They don't call the police. They just disfellowship you. And then you can come back within a year if you're so sorry and repented for what you did. And that's exactly what happened to him. When I started digging and I started calling people, and people were calling me like, oh my God, this is your uncle. Has he ever tried to do something with you? And I was like, what? Like, how dare you even ask that? But at the same time, I understand. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. This is such a shock to us. So he's living a double life. He's texting minors, and he finally got caught with it. But as I'm talking to these wives of elders in his previous congregation, they're telling me, oh, this is probably why he got disfellowshipped so many times, because he was disfellowshipped like 4 times before this happened. And what did they do this time around? Oh, he just paid the bail and he left jail that same
Really?
day. And where did he go that Sunday? He went to
Congregation.
a meeting that Sunday. He got arrested like on a Thursday or a Friday, and he went to the meeting on a Sunday. And when I found that out, I could not believe it. I called his congregation and I spoke to his elders, and I said, do you understand the gravity of having this man in your king? His invitation should be revoked. So that's what I want to hear you tell me. Tell me that you are kicking him out. And all they told me was, we're going to handle it. We have people who are watching him, but he can still come here if he wants to. And I was like, oh, hell no. But you see, they take the plea deal. They just register as offenders. But we don't really know what happened in the past, because he used to work in the DOE in New York City. So he used to work in a school around children. And for some reason, he got fired from that job. And nobody knows why. And then he got disfellowshipped very soon after that. And nobody knows why. So when you start doing this research on these people, they are the wolf in sheep's clothing, literally, because they are roaming these halls and conventions and assemblies and these gatherings. And all of those are underaged children trying to have fun.
Like your average church, you go to Sunday, right? You go there, you listen to a sermon or whatever. Maybe they have a Sunday school for your kids. I know the Mormon church does that. You go upstairs, the adults go upstairs, take in a sermon. The kids go in the basement. There's a Sunday school, but usually there's a couple of instructors that are kind of trained in children, usually, but I don't know how they do it. What would be a safe way for these organizations to have people in and not be putting their children at risk? Would be not to do the ministry. This whole ministry thing is BS. It's subjecting the organization to a lot of liability, lots of liability. And if you really look at the ministry in the Bible, and I was going to cover this one Bible Sunday, but you can tell me, maybe you know some other situations, but I don't recall any children going out in the ministry in the Bible. In fact, Jesus didn't go out until he was baptized. 30.
Correct.
He was like 30. It was all like adults and circuit overseers, like Paul was a circuit overseer.
Hey, Vern, to answer your question, you can have a ministry door to door. You can have any kind of ministry with no pedophiles. The El Salvador president, it was the worst country in the world as far as violence. Now it's it's the safest place to live. Why? Because there's a will, there's a way. And they actually pray to God, the whole cabinet member and the president. He talked about it with Tucker Carlson. They actually prayed as a cabinet, and they got the job done. So the point is Watchtower doesn't want to get rid of the problem because they don't have the will. You can start it and you can go door to door. There's not going to be no pedophiles in your organization. So the will to stop pedophiles is not there with the Jehovah's Witness. That's why it persists. And I just wanted to throw you this one thing. If you look in the chat, right now in the chat, I just put the word handkerchief code. All you have, this is how it works with the Watchtower. If you type in handkerchief code in Wikipedia, what you're going to see is back in the 70s and 80s, gay men would wear handkerchief bandanas in their back pocket and their jeans and stuff. And so what happened is when you would go to a bar, when you would go places at work, another gay person would see your bandana and the handkerchief, and depending on the type of color, and shape and everything. He knew what you were into sexually. So
Really?
this, yeah, look it up. I learned this when I was a
Didn't
young
know
man.
that.
Yeah, I used to work with
I
this
got a
guy.
blue handkerchief. I hope that doesn't mean anything.
Well, go on Wikipedia and I'll tell you what kind of guys you're going to look at, hit you up. But here's the whole point. This is how they do it in the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is how Satan and his demons work. They all have secret codes. They have secret handshake, secret hand signals and stuff, bandanas. Who knows what they do? But if you were to actually study it, if you were to actually put the camera on the pedophile at a convention or whatever, you'll actually notice, like, oh my God, all of the members of the governing body have a pinky ring. It's a code. This is how they work. I don't.
What do you think that means?
Well,
The pinky ring.
That's up for. I respect everybody's opinion on that, but what I'm trying to say here is, we don't think that way. Why you who are watching, you don't think this way because you're a good person, you're a nice person, you want to live and let live. But these people, you have to understand, the moment you realize and you accept the fact that the governing body and the leadership of Watchtower are demonic, they're sadistic, demonic, they sold their soul to the devil, then it all makes sense. Now we know why they don't want to get rid of the pedophiles. Now we know why they let them go door to door. You saw the video. Now you know why they have subliminal images of demon literature, over and over and over again.
Now we know why they demonize the Magi and the star. Because the star is from Jesus.
Yeah.
Demonize Jesus. That's what they're doing.
So once you accept that they're demonic, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. I know you have to leave the religion. And I know
they stole Jesus' truth, right? Satan wants Jesus' glory, so they actually stole Jesus' truth.
Yeah,
Satan wanted Jesus' glory all the way through the Bible.
Correct. The Bible says Satan is the light, the new light, the angel of light. Watchtower has the new light. But once you start seeing all of these things, it all makes sense.
Yep.
Everything that Watchtower is saying is demonic. There's nothing good. Time. Nothing good comes out of Watchtower. Don't tell me that you got you learned how to give public speeches from the platform. No. You could learn that with Toastmasters.
You can do that through Toastmasters.
So no. But I'm just saying, once you accept it and you just say, yeah, they're demonic, it all makes sense. Yeah. It just But look up the handkerchief code, and this is how they do it. You're going to say,
that's interesting.
These pedophiles, how do they mobilize inside the religion? Now you know. They have a code. Yeah. You don't know what it is, but they have, every dirty organization has a code. Thanks,
okay. Vern. Thanks for that, Gilbert. Appreciate you.
Here. No, thank you for having me.
And I'm just gonna finish the rest of this book. There's not lots left. Did you want to talk anymore, Ruby? Did you get everything out?
Oh yeah. I'm glad that you're covering this. I'm glad that you're showing it directly from the Elders book, because I think that's so. It's so many words just to not say, just call the police.
I know. Isn't this what's it all about? Is it control the elders, make them so busy, make them exhausted? I don't know.
Yeah, because they're trying to cover for themselves.
This is not good. Not a good organization.
Yep. So this is exactly what needs to be said and told and shown, because this is what we don't see as average Jehovah's Witnesses. I would have never been able to see these paragraphs or any of this if I was still a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm glad that
that's
you're doing it.
That's all we got left there. Here, just stay online. I'll just read the last 2-3 paragraphs here. Okay. What do we have here? Moving. So if you're moving, they really follow you. They try to follow you. But like Gilbert said, they should be doing driver's license. People can change their names. Pedophiles, they're not. Anyways, we can pick it apart, but they are trying to follow these pedophiles around when they move. That's what that paragraph's about. Then 27, when the elders are informed that an individual who has been accused of CSA has moved into the congregation, 2 elders should immediately call the legal department. Now, this is like a law, hey? Like just all legal.
Yeah, but it's an obligation of the person. So the sex offender himself is obligated to announce that about himself. I know in certain states it's the law, and if they don't do it, that's illegal. So
Really?
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's the
Hmm.
ones that have been convicted that come out. And when they
Right.
come out, they're
And
supposed to, if they join a church, they're supposed to go and tell the elders right away.
yeah, like anywhere you go, or if you move into a new neighborhood, you are obligated to tell that about yourself, because you have to register within that county. And then when you look up the registry on the internet, it will tell you all of the pedophiles that live in your area.
And they're even point three here, even the prison, if a person's in prison, they're talking about it right there.
Hmm.
So, but what are they doing? They're just calling the legal department. They're not doing anything more. They're not making an announcement. The book doesn't say to make an announcement. It just says call the legal
Exactly.
department. So I don't know what the
Exactly.
legal department would say. Probably they should say make an announcement.
Hmm.
But they don't. You know what they said in the last paragraph we read? They said call all the family heads that have children and let
Right.
them know.
Right. Yeah, I was
So not
watching.
everyone knows.
Yep, exactly right. That's what my mother
Yeah.
told me when I confronted her about it. I was like, "So what happens if there is a pedophile?" She said, "Oh, we know that that's the procedure. They let all the head of households know." And then I was like, "Okay, so you're a single mother. Did they let you know? Because you have a young daughter and you're raising her as a single mother?" And she didn't answer me. So
Really?
yeah,
So they won't,
they
like, if you're raising your kids as a single mom, they wouldn't call you
I don't know, because
necessarily?
she never gave me a clear answer. It either it
Mm.
has never happened and she's never experienced it, or maybe they just don't do it. Like that didn't cross her mind, as if the elders wouldn't do it. And that's what I'm trying to point out. I'm like, these are still humans at the end of the day. They're not AI that are gonna follow each and every point in this book. They are going to do as they please, especially if they like the guy, or if
Yep.
he's popular. And that's the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses. So even if it's on paper, who knows if they're actually really doing this in real life?
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, Vern, I also put this on the comment section and cut this up.
Mhm.
I had to get fingerprinted to get this card. It's from the state of Arizona. It's a clearance card. You know,
Mhm.
for a lot of reasons. When you're dealing with children that are adopted, or you're working with children, or you're
Oh,
working in a
yes. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
no, they had to make sure that I was who I was, that I said I was.
Mhm. That's
And then they
see, that makes sense because you're
and
you're in a situation where you're caring
yeah,
for people. You're in a serious position. Like, yeah, I get that.
how do I know you're Vern? And you mean to tell me to
Exactly.
preside for the congregation and take care of the
Mhm.
children and take care of the elderly? And
Yeah.
you mean to tell me you're not going to prove to me that your name is really Vern? What the hell kind of organization is this?
Mhm.
Yeah, but there's no law that says if you join a new church or a new religion that you need to get fingerprinted and put your real name out there. That you see, that's why they write in the book that is the parents' responsibility to keep their children
Yeah.
safe and to teach
No,
the children.
no. What I'm
But
saying, Ruby, is if I have a business, if I have a church, and I have 100 million, 500, $1 billion, I'm going to protect my damn assets,
mhm.
and I'm going to have people.
Exactly.
You would
Yeah,
think so.
you
Right.
this
You would assume so. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
the stupidity, the evilness, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
and then to protect the children. How much? It just does not cost a lot of money. A lot of these
Well,
companies
it's
streamline
going to
this so
cost them millions yet. They're not done getting sued. They're not
Exactly.
done getting
So
sued.
there's a law that you see now I realize that the Jehovah's Witnesses only function if there is a law that tells them what to do. And that's
Yeah.
why I say in my videos that
A
they are
rule.
morally corrupt, because morally, as a Jehovah's Witness, you wouldn't do those things. You wouldn't lie, you wouldn't steal, you
Yeah.
wouldn't kill. So morally speaking, you wouldn't do these things. But if you need a law to tell you what to do is the right thing, then you're
That,
morally corrupt.
yeah. And if
the
you owned a
person. Yeah.
babysitting business, you would gladly do this for the protection of everybody, and so mom and dads would feel comfortable, and the books would be open, and they have to get these tests every 1 or 2 years, because how do you know they didn't have a drug lapse, or how do you know they didn't
Mhm.
start selling drugs, stuff like that. this is to protect everybody. Watchtower. I'm telling you, if there's will, there's a way. Is the point? Keep it simple.
Yep.
Watchtower has no will in protecting their members. As a matter of fact, they want your children. Satan hates the children. He wants to kill the children. He'd like to kill you and me, but he wants to barbecue them. He wants to barbecue little babies, eat them like little snacks. It's a demon, and everything Watchtower is doing is demonic. They're not protecting the children.
No,
that's it, guys. I want to bring that up. The card,
Gilbert. You know what's interesting? This notification thing here, and also Ruby. You were talking about this. Oops. If here's what it is. From time to time, secular authorities may inform the elders that a sex offender is living in the area, like a non-JW, right? So if they phone the Kingdom Hall, or they'll phone all the churches probably, in the area where a sex offender lives. And here's what the Kingdom Hall does. The notice may provide the address of the individual, may state the nature of his criminal activity. In such a case, the elders should list the address as a do not call. Why don't they do that to the JWs that are sex offenders? After a few decades, they can become an elder again, or they can get privileges again. Anyways, maybe not be an elder.
Here's another one. Look at this. Every time I go
I'll
to
put you up bigger. Just hold on.
Look at this.
Just hold on here.
Check that out.
Insurance.
Arizona insurance card.
I show this before I can start driving a company vehicle. I have to show them, my DMV 3-year history. You're going to tell me you're going to let people go door to door peddling your magazines? There's no insurance. What happens if somebody dies?
Exactly.
This is what I'm talking about. They don't give a crap about anybody.
They don't. They don't look
employer,
after their seniors in Bethel.
My employer, my distributors, they care about me. They make sure, Gilbert, you need to have 100, 300, 100.
Yeah, they'll give you insurance.
Yeah.
Oh, who else is on stage? Eric's coming on to say hi. Hi, Eric.
Oh, hey, Eric.
Hey, how are you guys?
What did we lose? Did we lose someone? Oh, we lost Gilbert. That's okay. You scared Gilbert away.
That's funny. I was just going to add that the whole word of mouth thing doesn't work, because in our congregation, Ralph Haro was he was an older man. He was a pedophile. I don't know if he's still alive. He was much older, but he was still a creep. Like my little my nephew, who was a little kid at the time, like 10 years old, when it would be Matthew Matarese, when he has his hand risen, the creeper would do this. He'd smile big and turn around and like stare at my nephew. I'm like, dude, we all know that you're like a creeper. Well, here's the thing. You know how like when new people to the congregation come by, sometimes depending on where you are in the world, they'll have like you over for dinner, as hospitality, just to welcome you to the congregation. Well, this family had the Haros over for dinner, and the wife was mortified to find out after that she was around her or that the couple were around her 4 kids, and that he was a registered sex offender, and they were never told. And she was sexually, her and all of her siblings were molested by her elder father. He's a creeper. That's a side subject. So she's already very sensitive to this stuff. And when she screamed at the elders over it, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we forgot to tell you guys," because it did go around to the congregations. We all knew, but they didn't know. And she was just livid over it. Wow. But I was going to add that little 2 cents that it just doesn't work. I'm actually I just got home from doing groceries, and I got to get going. But
yeah, well, thanks for coming on.
If they really cared, they would do a little more, right? I think I agree with you, Vern, that they should never have privileges ever again. And if you're going to disfellowship someone forever, why not them? Because they don't usually they don't get reformed.
No, or yeah, I don't know enough about. Like, I'm not a psychologist, and none of us, as brothers and sisters should be dealing with these crimes. This is a way out
Exactly.
of our league.
Yeah,
It's a way out
exactly.
of our league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
no, in the state of Florida, they just passed the
Thanks for
bill
having
that
me on,
you
Vern.
will
I got to get
put.
going. Take care, Ruby.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay. Well,
bye,
thanks, Eric.
Eric.
Thanks
All
for
right, love you
sharing.
guys. Peace.
Love you too.
Bye.
Take care, buddy.
Um,
Go ahead.
oh yeah, the state of Florida had just passed a bill that if there is any crime in what is being described here, what we've been talking about, you could get the death penalty in the state of Florida.
Really?
That's how
Really?
serious it is, and I
Yep,
do
it
agree
is.
with that stance.
A lot of these prisoners that go to prison, I don't know if they make it too far in their 60-year sentence. Because the other prisoners don't treat CSA sex offenders. They don't
Right.
treat them that good in prison. That's what I heard. But what do I know?
As it should be. I mean, these are the types of people in society that we need to erase. Like literally, if you hurt children or have done anything to traumatize the children in that manner, you should be exiled. you deserve the death penalty. Like it's that serious to do to a child.
What did Keith say? He said, brazen misconduct will not be tolerated behind any elder's supervision at any time. GB will be informed and all will meet together for drinks so all the stories can be shared. That's about it. That's what they do, I guess. Because like Gilbert said, they're not doing anything. Okay, well, let's finish this up. Sexual misconduct involving minors. What steps should elders take when minors engage in sexual misconduct? As stated earlier, 2 elders should immediately call the legal department. Really? They call the legal department. So if your kids get into trouble, that's what will happen. It goes all the way to the legal department.
When
Minors
both
who
of them are
engage in
minors.
sexual misconduct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not sexual abuse, it's kids getting into trouble. But they're calling the legal department, so maybe they call the legal department and then the legal department calls the parents. I don't know. However, regardless of ages, those involved, such misconduct is serious and may even warrant congregation judicial action. The body of elders should work with the parents to ensure the minors receive spiritual assistance, and they should call the service. So there's a lot of calling service and legal department going on now. Their lines must be just on fire. You know, they have a lot of congregations.
Yeah,
120,000 congregations in the U.S. or in the world. Yeah.
It's a serious issue.
When baptized minors become involved in sexting, the elders must use good judgment. If it's escalated, then they'll go to judicial action. Questions from the readers they send you to. Yeah. Please review. It's all about reviewing their stuff and just reading the same thing over and over again. If a baptized minor has been previously counseled and persists, judicial action would be taken. It's all about judicial action. However, each case must be evaluated. But most of these people need professional help, my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I was even in the chat earlier when you were discussing the whole sexing issue, and especially paragraph 30 is exactly what happened to me when I was 16 years old. They reproved me for sexting with other Jehovah's Witness men who were way over the age of 18. They were like 21,
Really?
22, 23.
And you got reproved, eh?
Right, and I was a
was that?
minor. That was in 2013.
Okay, that was before this new elders book. 2015 is when all the new stuff came out.
I can imagine because I went through it, and they probably had to change things because of certain cases, just like my own case. And it's unfortunate because I'm angry, like literally. And I would have never known about this if you didn't cover this. You know what I mean? So it's like it's coming. The trauma's coming back because I'm like, I was a 16-year-old child who got reproved and their whole life ruined because of what they're saying in this elders book. Because they said, I consented to this. I wanted this. You should have never been talking to these people. And they always put the blame on the person, on the minor, on the child. And that's what's wrong, because they didn't counsel my mother. They didn't have a separate judicial committee for my mother, to tell her, well, something's obviously wrong in this household if your daughter's doing this. But they say, oh, the problem should be given to the parents. It's the parents' responsibility. But that's not how they treat it. They had me in a judicial committee with 3 elders, and I had to explicitly tell them what happened. So it's sad.
They changed it now. It says, if a baptized minor has been previously counseled on the matter of sexting and persists in the wrong course, it says in most cases, judicial action would be taken. So if it would only be taken if it was a consistent thing, if it happened more than once, I guess.
Right. And that was my first time.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing a judicial meeting over one time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the same. Those are the same changes of the governing body updates. They said, oh, well, if, they changed the rules of engagement when it comes to disfellowshipping a minor, and that's the same thing.
If you were sexting another older person, older than 16, like older than 18 even,
right,
then you would, then he would, they're not, according to this new elders book, they're not supposed to even have a meeting with you. They're not even supposed to meet with you. They're supposed to deal with the perpetrator, the older person. They can deal with him, but because you're a minor, they're not supposed to even deal with you judicially, according to this new book.
Yep. But this happened before this book came out. So, oops, sorry, Ruby, your life was ruined because this book didn't come out in 2013.
And this is the thing. I believe Watchtower has to be held accountable for all the therapy of all these people. And it's because of their damn door-to-door work. That's where people are always, well, I guess sexting now can happen. That's with cell phones.
Yeah, it's like the new generation sins, because that wouldn't exist before the internet or cell phones. But now that we have this technology, now we have to revise this to consider it a sin.
Okay, well, that brings an end to this section of the Elders book. Next week, we'll be preparing for judicial hearings, chapter 15. This is a long Elders book. We're on page 123. And there's 290 pages.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm so happy that I got to catch this live, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, thank you for all your contribution, Ruby. We always appreciate having you on. And thank you, everyone, for being on with us tonight. And we're going to be moving. We sold our house. We're moving. We're just packing things up, actually. I think I'll have my little studio set up here until probably the end of the week. And then I'll be moving to something different. So with that in mind, we won't see this. Here's a little scene. Here's a little scene out here at our farm. And this is what I say. We go for a little walk. It's nice. This was a little earlier before the leaves came out. And but yeah, we won't see this place too much longer. So, folks, we'll see you next time. And until then, keep living your day with love. Bye for now. Oh, remember, live your life with love. See you later.